Welcome back. Republicans on the House Small Business Committee sending a subpoena to the Small Business Administration, accusing the SBA of refusing to turn over information about the Biden administration using federal money to help register swing state voters. The committee has been investigating the SBA since March, which is when the agency announced a partnership with the Michigan Department of State to promote civic engagement and voter registration in Michigan. Small Business Committee Chairman Roger Williams writes this: the SBA's continual obstruction has hindered the committee's ability to consider legislative reforms needed to ensure the integrity of the 2024 elections and equal access to the ballot box for all Americans. Joining me now, the man himself, Texas Congressman and Chairman of the House Small Business Committee, Roger Williams. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for being here. Tell us more about your investigation.
Thank you, Maria. Well, it's just unbelievable. We got involved because we had, through a whistleblower, we caught the red-handed. What they were doing is registering voters, signing memo of understandings with Michigan in this case, and we don't know who yet, other states that they may be doing it with, but taking resources from the SBA that ought to be going to Main Street America to help businesses stay in business, get in business, and going to towns like Flint and going to towns like Detroit, and i.e. registering voters, and even know that Chairman Guzman is even spending time in her calendar. We want to see her calendar while she's going to those places of registering voters in these Democratic strongholds. It's wrong, and it's not the purview of the SBA. The SBA is a small business administration, not the small election administration, and they're supposed to be helping businesses get started, stay in business, and offer assistance, but we're not doing that. And we filed subpoenas. You mentioned that. We filed subpoenas first time in over 20 years. The Small Business Committee has had to subpoena anyone. We subpoenaed necessary people. They lawyered up. They didn't want to see us. We finally got the Chief of Staff of the SBA in to talk to us, and we asked him 201 questions, and he gave us 201 I don't knows. So that tell you either he's in the wrong spot or just lying through their teeth about happened to sway an election. Well,
I mean, look, every agency has been involved in some kind of a, voter effort to get more people to vote for Democrats. It's not just SBA. I want to get your take on the illegals in this country, 10 million plus on Joe Biden's watch. There's a lot of fear out there that illegals are going to vote and they're going to register them to vote. Michael Whatley tweeted this yesterday, the chairman of the RNC. Huge win, 90,000 inactive voters have been removed from the rolls in Clark County, Nevada, as a result of our efforts to protect the vote. What can you do as an elected official to protect this vote and ensure that illegals in this country are not voting in the presidential election?
Well, I think we have to work with the states and make sure that their election law is tight enough to where that the people that are citizens that get to vote and the non-citizens don't get to vote. It's state issues, and I think we need to work closely with the states.
Are you doing that?
We are to the point we need.
Are you working closely with the states?
I mean, there's a lot of. We are, and there's a lot. The RNC and others are working very closely with the states to make sure we don't have breakdowns like we did in 2020 with Pennsylvania, for example, where the governor and the Secretary of State did exactly, in many cases, opposite of what the state legislature told them to do. Right here in Texas, we don't have that problem. I was Secretary of State under Governor Perry. Governor Perry and I would never have challenged anything that the legislature told us to do and do it differently. So we have to work with the states and have to make sure election law is adhered to and the right people vote.
Well, you don't have much time left. We're 90 days away from Election Day, less than a month until early voting begins, could be as soon as September 6th in some states. Today, Vice President Kamala Harris is going to be in Michigan and Arizona, but her campaign website still does not have any information about her economic plans. The page offers Harris and Walsh's biographies, campaign merchandise, and a section to donate money to them, but nothing about policy. Her campaign speeches do not offer much either. Watch this.
We fight for a future where every senior can retire with dignity, a future where we build a broad-based economy, and one where every American has the opportunity to own a home, to start a business, to build wealth.
Well, she's got all her talking points there, sir. Harris campaign spokesperson avoided Fox News Digital's question about how Harris plans to handle a recession. Instead, they attacked Trump for labeling this week's sell-off the Kamala crash. The campaign accusing Trump of spreading, quote, chaotic, ranting lies, claiming Trump's economic plans would supercharge inflation. Your reaction?
Well, the bottom line is I'm a business guy. Trump's plans worked. In 2016, we had the best economy we've had in many, many years. We know less government works. We know cutting taxes works. We know empowering small business to create a business, and risk and reward is what this country was built on. Kamala Harris is the Biden economics. It doesn't work, and all she wants to do is tax everybody. She talks about cash flowing America through taxing people. You can't do that. You got to cut tax. You got to create more taxpayers, create more opportunity. That's the difference people are going to see. The economy right now is still okay because it's free markets, it's competition. But we get the anchor off Main Street America, then things are going to explode here, and it can happen in a day. It can happen in a week. So she has no plan but just tax people, and that's going to make Main Street get smaller and make Main Street subservient to the government and eventually do away with entrepreneurship.
Well, she's got to tax everybody because she wants to push through her green agenda. Her climate change agenda is expensive, and that's where she's coming up with the money, taxing American citizens. Meanwhile, former President Trump has laid out an economic plan. I sat with him last week at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey, and he walked me through his policies and how he expects to grow the economy, while also warning about Harris's policies and what that would do to the auto industry. Watch this.
Kamala Harris will have all auto jobs are gone. Michigan is going to go bankrupt, and Michigan is essentially going to go state bankruptcy. If she gets in, it's all going to China and other countries. We're not going to be making anything. With me, we're going to become the manufacturing capital of the world again. You know, we used to be that, and we can be it again. South Korea, Japan, I made them into good deals, but I was stuck with these horrible things. If I didn't have those deals, we wouldn't have any business in Detroit, because the thing that they do best on is small trucks, because of the deals that I made with South Korea with tariffs, because they're tariffed very high, so they can't send them, they can't bring them into the United States and kill our truck industry. So we will, through a system of incentives and tariffs, bring our country back to a level that it's never been before.
Well, he's walking through specifics like tapping into the energy capacity in America, extending the tax cuts, but we haven't heard anything from Kamala Harris. Your reaction?
Well, no, right, and Maria, I'm an auto dealer, and I can tell you that what she wants to do will kill the auto industry. President Trump is exactly right. We need to create competition, not mandate EV vehicles. There is no market for EV vehicles in this country. Dealers aren't carrying EV vehicles. They're too costly for anybody to buy. No insurance company wants to insure them. And we need to have competition. We don't need to have mandating. He's exactly right. I can tell you, 52 years in the car business, I know the market. I know what people want. People need to buy what they want, and manufacturers need to make what people want. We need to get back to that.
And yet, the Wall Street Journal this morning out with an op-ed, "Will Donald Trump blow another election?" is the title of the op-ed, saying the economic and security fundamentals are teed up for a Republican victory. Voters, especially the working class, unhappy with the economy as average real incomes have declined across the Biden-Harris presidency. The chaos at the border has spread to cities around the country. And yet, with 3 months to go before the election, the Journal writes, Kamala Harris and the Democrats have erased the lead that Mr. Trump had. Your reaction? What does Trump and Vance need to do?
Well, I think she got a bump, when she got named. But the fact of the matter is, it is teed up for us, and President Trump is going to do a fantastic job. He's doing a good job now. We need to explain. We need to explain what worked in 2016. People understand that. We need to explain entrepreneurship. We need to explain competition and free markets against socialism and Marxism and high taxes. And that will win every single time. I can tell you, I'm out there in the country talking to small business owners. All they want is relief. All they want is less regulations. Since Biden's been in office and Harris has been in office, we've had over $1.37 trillion in regulations put on Main Street America, 220 million man-hours to try to offset that. You can't hire anybody right now. So we will win if we stick with the issues. President Trump is doing a great job of doing that. They don't have an issue. You're right. The election is almost on top of us. It's a sprint to the finish line, but it's all about creating opportunities through jobs and through job creation in America. That's a winner.
All right. We'll be watching all of that. Mr. Chairman, good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.